horse drifted alarmingly in the betting was, Felsted in the morning, continued to drift. He was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's not.
It's heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
Hello, a warm welcome to the Barsters Inquiry. It's Sunday sermon time. Yes, that time of the week, as usual, where we get some absolutely ridiculous questions, posed, of course, by our very own Jonas Lang. And we discuss a little bit of racing now and again, and a bit of racing politics mixed in. It's like a total mixed bag. It's like, John, you remember we used to go to the corner shop, you used to buy, like you said, pick and mix, and you got all sorts of shit in there. Parma violets, bonbons, cola bottles.
Dolly mixtures. Yeah, dolly mixtures.
The lot. This is what this...
I'll come to our place. He used to give me all the shit he couldn't shift.
Yeah.
Licorice laces and...
Oh, fucking hell, yeah.
Them
Flying saucers with sherbet in.
Yeah.
Did you have to stick your hand in his pocket, John, to get the toffees?
No, it never happened.
Workers original. Come and sit on my knee, yeah. That's not my knee.
I was just as undesirable as a child as I am now, so they weren't interested. The folks used to send me down to Jack and Ellie's for ice cream and on the arm from the age of outside. And nothing ever happened.
Dear God.
The man that Jack and Ellie turned down.
Fuck it, no. That's terrible.
on to the racing. Of course, serious business, chaps. Come on, we've got some serious business. A little bit, anyway.
Yeah.
Of course, this week we've seen the Craven meeting, the Nell Gwyn, and of course, the Guineas trials there, the Fred Darling, together with the Greenham, the Spring Cup. So we've had some good racing. Scottish National, the Mullins Boar Fest. Though it's quite entertaining, John. Mullins pissing all over him in the trainer's title. Does this kind of just make you happy or concerned?
Just like that second Floyd moment, isn't there? Where I kind of like the fact that the two fatties thought they had it to themselves a month ago. And all the interviewers were, "Hi Dan, do you think you can beat Paul? Hi Paul, do you think you can beat Dan?" And it was all chummy, wasn't it? And then suddenly Willie wins the national and steps up to the plate, says, "Hold my beer." It's just got a bit nasty for the fatties. Lovely.
Yeah, the way Wicked Willie's introduced, he's run at Cheltenham in this meeting in particular, winning the big prize, of course, by an absolute nostril from Toby Laws. Yeah. He must be like, oh God, he must be sick. McDermott was dogging it bad on the running, weren't it? He got to front, got the race sewn up, and then just went, ugh. It was just a case of whether it was when the...
Johnny Deneen was saying on a rival podcast, he said earlier in the season, he had that down as the worst horse in the yard. He can't believe how much he's improved.
Do you know what? The way that won, I'd suggest that he didn't want to win. It got to the front. He just obviously completely dogged it all the way to the line and just managed, luckily, to get its nostril down. Old Big Dan and Big Ditchy sat there and must have just felt deflated after that. But then...
Really deflated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Up the Zeppelin.
Atkins diet for them too, because they can sleep loads of bacon and things like that. Going on to this, is this a problem for the game, maybe? Are we looking at Willie domination for a long time?
Already, haven't we?
There's a bit of childish stuff to say. No, they get plenty of big winning practices. You just want to start getting the right ones, don't they?
Look, Skelton's had a decent year. He can do it. They can both do it. They haven't got the horse flesh. The thing is, Willie's got the horse, but he's got it in numbers. Like when you can turn up with 4 or 5 in a race, or 5 or 6 in a race.
The trouble is, Lee, he's going to win the national every other year now, isn't he?
But yeah, that bit's boring. The Irish will win that. In fact, Irish will win anything they want to send over to win any big prizes, really. As long as they get the numbers right, which they have been dominating the national in numbers.
I mean, problem with national, he can send worst jumper in the yard over well handicapped now, can't he?
Sure, it's got to that stage. So, is it good for the game? No, I don't think it is. But then it's quite funny to see these two self-combusting in a trainer's title race, particularly as like what Dan Skelton did to that owner. He's put it all behind him now. It'd been a tough time for him. The detestable Nichols. Can you imagine him being receptive in any kind of interview? He's very abrasive. He doesn't seem a very friendly person. Do you know what I mean?
I found him quite funny in interviews, actually. It was just, he amuses me, you know.
In what way?
I think it's the sadist in me, to be honest.
If he were a politician, he'd have more kids than Boris Johnson.
I think I like the fact that it doesn't really matter who's interviewing him. You know, he could get a bit arsey at any minute.
Yeah, you're waiting for it, aren't you? That's it. You've summed it up there. On that interview, you're waiting for Nichols to just go, like, the lot's going up. Like,
You know, it's like what do you mean by that sort of moment, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. Just comments from one of our listeners, Ian Mackey's been on. He says the way Willie Mullins conducted himself yesterday at Air, posing for selfies, talking with the public, was fantastic to see. We are witnessing history being made here, and I hope the BHA don't move the goalposts or change the rules after this season because he thinks it's great for racing. So that's one opinion. Do we agree with that?
I do.
Yeah. Chris, thoughts?
Pretty nonplussed by it. I suppose it's humiliating, isn't it, for the domestic trainers to have this guy who doesn't campaign horses on a daily basis come in and sweep the title. That must be humiliating, surely. It must be. I mean, I know it's all about the horse flesh, etc. But look, the geezer's won it. You know, he can basically win whatever he wants. I mean, what motivation does that give you domestically? What's the point?
If Willie Mullins came out and did a Tyson Fury and said, "There isn't a man born from his mother's cunt that can stop me."
Well, that would certainly add spice to it.
I tell you what, if he did that, I'd give him the fucking money myself.
Yeah, fucking right. Yeah.
Oh, we're using the C words again, but there we go. Right. Just needed to say. Right. So good point, Ian Mackey, on that one. So, changing the subject slightly, John, done the Scottish National to death. This week was the Craven, Fred Darling, the Nell Gwynn, the Greenham. I think all our listeners are waiting now for you. A couple of your best takes of the week from what you've seen in the trials, please.
I thought Summergan ran a tremendous race in the circumstances. He clearly retains all his ability, and I mean, there'll be a massive interest at York next month because he won't face such a track bias as he ran against on the 17th. I thought the Fielden Stakes winner was very impressive. The trouble is he's trained by Brian Mayen, so whether he backs that performance up or not is another matter. I think we'll probably find out maybe at York or somewhere like that. One thing I did note as well, I thought Andrew Baldwin's completely lost the foxes.
Do you think?
Yeah, I didn't like his shape pre-race. I didn't like the way he raced as much as anything in that one. Yeah, I think they got problems there. I thought Jane's two big horses in that race, Claymore and Blanchland, both looked ribby and stressed. I'd be concerned for their futures. Dan Sequence will definitely improve for the step up in trip. Whether she's Guineas quality, I don't know. And that was about it, really.
I felt that Dan Sequence is still very underrated for the 1,000 guineas. I know I've already backed it each way, but I'm not being biased because obviously if I think something's disappointing, I'll just say it. But with that wind form, track position, I would advise everybody this week really to go through Newmarket. Anything coming from out of its ground, especially when you know the pace has been quite just ordinary, you know, not when they've gone bananas. But I think you need to really put them in your track. You need to look at things coming from, like John said, with Summergand. And in the case of Dan Sequence, that was ridden like it was a trial for me. I don't think they were serious there because if you wanted to win the Nell Gwyn, you'd have just sat much, much handier. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I would.
And they're very hit and miss, weren't they, the yard? They don't seem to have hit the ground running. So give them another couple of weeks and they might strike a bit of form.
Yeah, there's a couple of yards like that at the moment. I mean, Roger Vegetables, his runners just seem short. They just seem just not firing at the end of the race.
Is that the horses or is that the trainer? You know, I think this is a very, very big year for Mr. Vegetables. Because I think he needs to start shaping a bit and winning a few of these.
Well, he's training some for the Kazakhstan fella, isn't he?
Yeah, him.
Nobokov or something. I don't know. Sheikh Abed, he's got lots for him. And Sheikh Abed, as we know, goes with the wind. If one trainer's shitting winners for him, he'll move them there. That was so with Carl Burke. He's like, Carl Burke gets shedfuls now because Carl Burke's been doing him proud.
Carl Burke might need to build more boxes, the way Mr. Vegetable is shaping.
Well, Carl Burke's even chucking Nick Bradley out with some of his shit. That's what it's got to at Spigot Lodge. It's a case of, well, if you...
Back to the glory days of Sam Arnold, aren't we?
Yeah. In fact, that's a tip in itself. If you see a 62 rated handicapper from Carl Burke that's looked to add 3 spins and it's still in a box there, that's probably a tip in itself for this year.
It's not supposed to be in a box, you might have just turned it out. Make room for a £600,000 purchase from Shaker.
Good stuff, John. Anyway, like for this week, we don't think it's probably unlikely. I mean, Dan Sequence is still on my radar for the 1,000, but as a whole, we haven't been impressed by the trials to say we've seen a classic winner come early May at HQ, have we?
No, the gut feeling at the minute would be that the winners will be making seasonal debut.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Looking ahead to the 2,000, if all's well with City of Troy and the market's right come the day, can Hannons beat it, Rosalian? There's been noises that this is working like an absolute machine for the Yoggurt Cap.
There's conflicting farmlands, isn't there? You know, that's the acid test, isn't it, on the day? I mean, I personally think Rosalian will possibly of the two be more suited to the mile.
Yeah.
But then I think also that City of Troy might get the more forceful ride, which will suit Newmarket. And I don't know whether Rosalian is be that good he'd be able to pick him up coming out the dip.
Yep.
You know, but I'm looking at it at the minute, and I think it's a 2-horse race.
Yes, I agree with that totally, John. And there might be a little bit of value in Rosalian. If you think there's any chinks in the armour of the favourite over that mile, you probably wouldn't want good to firm and a 26 mile an hour tailwind at Newmarket that day on Guinea's Day. Right, we're going to move on and we come to further racing chat, but more on the sort of ITV racing front, bit of racing politics, etc. First point was been a lot of complaints about ITV Racing's coverage, saying that they had a mare, Stephen Thomas, wrong prices for the Greenham on the opening show. Effenock Fizz given as the winner of the Scottish National. Was that the Golf Club Ball? I don't know.
I don't know.
The main focal point of our listeners this week is McCoy's punditry. Woeful, said you all. Continually bailed out by Tom Scudamore. Surely change has to happen. No wonder viewing figures are down. John, are we thinking there's sort of trouble at mill for ITV Racing, given the crap pundits they keep sticking on?
I wouldn't say they keep sticking crap pundits on. I just think there's one in particular. I don't think he's very good.
The subject about McCoy, though, I think this has gone for a while, but I think there's two things with McCoy. I don't think he's very good. And secondly, I don't think he can be arsed.
He's utterly charmless as well, isn't he?
Yeah,
he doesn't exude any kind of humanity. I mean, he just comes across as actually unpleasant. But he's not even redeemed by the fact, well, you know, by his knowledge, he just can't be bothered to do the homework. So he's unpleasant and lazy.
Yeah.
I mean, so you know, in any other industry, he'd be booted out, wouldn't he?
Thank Christ, Paddy Brennan's retired. We can him in.
Yeah. Oh, he'll be wheeled out. Don't worry about that.
Right, this is my current 10 for a future ITV Racing. I'm open to criticism, as always. Right.
Yes, go on.
Right, so Anchor. Nothing to do with last week. Rishi Prasad.
It's a surprise. James Knight's waving his fucking...
Yeah, James Knight.
James Knight will give me grief for this.
Powder puff. We were powder puff with Rishi, weren't we, apparently?
Shit.
We gave an easy ride. Fuck off.
Prasad Anchor.
Right.
Kevin Blake.
Yeah.
Jason Weaver.
Yep.
Adele Mulrennan.
Yep.
Ruby Walsh.
Yep.
Matt Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know why they've never done it, but Lydia and Nick Luck. And the last two are Jamie Lynch and Tom Scudamore.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. Jamie Lynch, I think he's one of the most underrated pundits on television. He really does his groundwork and he comes across all right. Northeastern, I think he is. He sounds a bit northeastern.
Yeah, sounds a bit thick, I think.
No, he's not. No. He's definitely...
Well, northeastern, isn't
Yeah.
it? All a bit divvy up, don't they?
John, I'll come to you first. What's the thoughts on my ITV ideal 10? The rest are sacked. A lot of them.
You got three in there that ITV can't get, haven't you, in Lydia, Luck and Lynch?
Why can't they get him?
I don't know, but they never have they? I'm assuming they're under contract to other people.
Do you think they told ITV to fuck off?
I mean, Nick Luck was on terrestrial telly, wasn't he? Didn't he not get paid when ITV took over or something?
Might have been something to do with that. It could be contracts, but anyway, that's the
Yeah.
tension. Because obviously they shift the team about, don't they? You'll not have them all on one
You've
day.
dropped my mate,
No.
haven't you?
Who's your mate?
Ed.
Oh, he dropped. Yeah, he's my mate. I work with. Yeah, I
John.
worked with him back in the day. Ed's decent, but
Yeah.
nah, get rid
What
of
a
Ed.
snaky trick, dropping your mate. Where's Megs?
Yeah.
Oh, no chance. Absolutely no chance.
Where's Leslie Graham? That's what people want to know. Bring her back.
Well, there's Leslie Graham. There's Tanya.
Yeah, Tanya
Yeah.
in the bedding ring.
Email
fucking
the
freak.
female.
Oh, fucking awful. Jeez.
I think your quarters are down there. You're a bit male centric, Lee.
Yeah, but
There's
sexist.
2 women there. There's
2
Liv.
in
Ooh,
10.
wow.
That's not enough.
Yes, that's dreadful.
Well,
You can't get away with that.
A
these
shopping
days.
list.
well, I don't know. Maybe more clothes will get ironed. I don't know.
Right. More shirts get done. Yeah, quite right. More sandwiches made.
Disgraceful.
Yeah.
I'd have Brian Frost on as well because
Yeah.
Brian Frost
Yes.
has been terribly wrong done over the last few years.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So there you go. We'll move on from ITV coverage then, which some of you said was absolutely shit. And yeah, that's it. You're entitled to your opinion. Next question on racing. There's one for John, this really. Does it affect a jockey riding below his usual weight, i.e. Marquand on Godwinson?
Fuck's sake, yeah. Ooh, they reminded me now. Oh,
I
dreadful.
know.
I've forgotten
I
that.
know. I think I backed it to win an ice cream van for me and John. I remember back in the day, if Carson was riding at 7'10" or Edry and Cawthon at 8 stone, I used to back them blindly.
On the back Carson many times at 8 fucking stone.
I'm going to say it can't have been Cawthon at 8
Jesus
stone.
Christ.
He did struggle with a weight.
He'd have had to have all his blood taken out.
Vincent Price would have done that, but definitely.
Fucking hell.
The Carson system, though, was...
Oh, yeah, it was a well-known thing, but as I say, if Carson had turned up riding at 8 stone, you'd have had your fucking house on.
So is it a positive or a negative if a jockey's riding below the weight?
In the main, I'd take it as a positive that they're boiled down to, it's a decent jockey and they're regularly snagging proper prize money.
Do you lose a bit of strength?
You've got to, haven't you? Because you're very near the margin anyway. And if you're going to go and have a boil in the sauna and take £4 off or whatever and only have a worth as original till race.
Jack and Ellie.
Yeah.
On a stone,
you're going to be in trouble, aren't you? High summer, it's definitely a worry with the dehydration from the race riding anyway. In the main, I think if it's a good jockey and he's going below what's his normal minimum, you'd have to take it as a positive because he's not going to do that to you on a float up, is he?
No,
absolutely not. Interesting points I've seen on Twitter this week. Credit to Mr. B.E. O'Neill for these statistics. I don't want to pass them off as my own.
He's good in with stuff, isn't he? I've spotted a few of his tweets.
Yeah, and it shows you the alarm in racing to come. And this is what we do as a podcast, really, point out the shit that's about to hit the fan. Over 600 horses have been exported to Oz between the Ireland and UK last year. That's a 3-fold increase in terms of ratio in the last 7 to 8 years. So it's not like 3 times more. It's just a ratio of 3, as in it's basically 3 times more than what should happen in a normal year. This is really bad, John, isn't it?
Well, it's the better 600, isn't it? It's not like it used to be when we only used to ship criminals out there.
Great stuff. Love it. This is bad. This is interesting also to back this up. In the UK currently, with trainers that are actually in training and ready, there are only 314 flat horses with an official rating of 100 plus. And that was 510 at the finish of last season. However, 196 have either retired, been exported, or out of training, or dead, or whatever. And Godolphin recently has decided it's going to export horses to the USA to race. Silver Knot, Master of the Seas, they're permanently out there. There'll be others. That's just a couple that I've just seen off the top of my head. But I know there's more than that. We're seeing a massive problem here, aren't we? A big downturn.
No, yeah. I mean, and it's just going to get worse because Holborn are sat on their hands.
Yep.
You know, they don't care.
Can you believe how quiet they are on all this?
Yeah.
Like, on all affordability, on all every.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Because I haven't just got out my spaceship. I've been here a while.
Yeah, I can totally believe it.
Keen observation of them, you know. I've been like Richard Attenborough, observing them in their natural habitat of the big lunch and the cosy pension arrangements and things like that. You know?
David Attenborough, you mean? It's like you're watching them, aren't you? You could show them on Big Brother what they're doing in Holborn. You know, on a day. You've got Greg Swift with his whiteboard, and he's being told by Julie and some of the others to say, write down your ideas for today, Greg. What we're going to do.
Yeah, we're going to form a committee to count the moon.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So this is where we're at, and this is a very, very bad trend. I would dare to suggest. And again, to back this up, did you know the Admiral 8-year-old gelding Hamish, who won the John Porter on Saturday, is only £5 off the highest rated horse in the UK. Never won above Group 3 level.
Jesus. Good Lord.
There we go. But,
we're lucky we've got some classics to come where we can forcibly hike some of these ratings, whether they want it or not.
Yeah. The problem is, if City here Troy wins 2,000 and Aidan O'Brien wins 1,000, I don't think any of ours are getting high enough.
Ours might not go up that much. Yeah, you're right. If we get like 6 wickets, they can still just be struggling to scrape 100, couldn't they?
Yeah, racing in trouble. We point it out, though, before everyone else.
No, City will try to be rated 200, won't they, to sort of drag up the numbers.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's time again to change tack. And, of course, joining us this week, he comes from a village somewhere in the middle of
He comes from good stock, you should have said.
He's a good egg as well. I've known him a long time. And for a Tory, he's not that bad. He really isn't.
Well, he's the only Tory I've spent any length of time with and not tried to stab.
He's sensible. He knows the game. And I'm pleased to say Councillor Woodman, Andrew Woodman of Gamblers Consumer Forum, joins us this evening on this pod to chew the fat a little bit about the latest in the affordability saga that's going on with Dirty Big Corp. So, Andrew,
hello.
And hello to your wonderful dog that won you the last councillor election by a landslide, as we know.
He's Sunak's dog now. Yeah. To bring him a better luck for the next.
I have offered him out, but I'm not an answer yet. It's a bit like talking to the BHA. You send an email, but you don't get them back.
You don't. You'll get a letter from the BHA if you say something very naughty. Where do we start, Andrew, on the latest round of affordability nonsense, where this week, of course, it was announced, in fact, it was broken by two media savvies in Matt Chapman and Nick Luck, saying that there was a big announcement to come. Apparently, there's going to be new thresholds for affordability to kick in, which is a £5,000 limit over a month of losses, I presume, or deposit. I don't know. I'm so confused. Or £25,000 over the year. Can you sort of correct me on this and tell me what that is?
Well, from what we understand, obviously it's not been fleshed out, but it would appear it would be on deposits from, I say, there's nothing official yet, so this is just what we're hearing. So it would appear it's sort of around deposits. I'm not sure how it's going to work, whether, because the single customer view has been coming into a certain extent, so whether it's just going to be with the big boys or whether all the independents have to sign up, it's all a little bit unclear. I suppose the issue is that it is accepting the premise of affordability, and once you accept the premise, there's a fair chance those limits are only going to be sort of dragged down. So it's an interesting development. I'm not sure how helpful it's going to be, especially after we heard from Mr. Rhodes on the Smart Betting Club podcast this week.
Yeah, of course. If you haven't listened to that, Andrew Rhodes did a hour-long or so podcast with Smart Betting Club. I'll be honest, I listened to a bit and I struggle with it because I want to kill the man. I can't have a slippery politician type answering questions. He didn't really, for me, provide any sort of long-term security for racing or answers for racing in terms of racing will not be affected. And this is where I'm at. I couldn't care less about slot machines. It doesn't interest me. It's for the future of the racing industry. And the problem is where we've got now is that, of course, someone could do their absolute brains from one part of the country on something that they can't afford, but you're castigated in the same net, Andrew. Am I right? That if these sort of checks come in for now anyway, that if I lose £5,000, I come into the same category as anyone else that can't afford £5,000 unless I provide documentation, or as Bet365 are going down the route is open banking.
I'm an absolute masochist because I listened to the interview for the second time this morning.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I know. Being a Tory politician as well, I must just have beat me across my forehead. I listened to it as a layman this time. I tried to listen to it as a layman without prejudging it and listen to what he's got to say. And on the face, if you took it at face value, you could say he was sounding reasonable because he said it's frictionless only. We don't want people sending in documents. We open banking as a consumer choice. Affordability, we've never mandated it. That's nothing to do with me. And then they started talking about, there's frictionless already, and they're looking at markers of harm and that sort of thing. So if you went into it as a layman, you'd think, okay, that sounds reasonable. He's just trying to stop gambling harm, and that's all okay. However, then you have to think about, well, the Gambling Commission did sort of mandate affordability.
How did he find people?
This is another issue. This is where we go on to anti-money laundering. And they've not fined bookmakers for cases of money laundering. They've fined them on their procedures for it. But when you actually consider the anti-money laundering, which in many ways is more of a problem than affordability, because that's what the companies are asking for documents on a lot of the time. Well, the money that's being deposited is coming from a financial institution. I mean, most of the time, obviously, there's payment suppliers, but most people are depositing off their debit card, which has come from a bank, which has the responsibility for doing anti-money laundering. And then it goes back invariably to the same bank account. So where is the money laundering going on?
Most punters have deposited via a UK bank account through their debit card and trying to refund their money back to that debit card. Why the hell are we talking AML checks?
There's the trouble. Yeah. No one knows. You ask a question and no one really has an answer. And he was saying that the Gambling Commission, it publishes all their information, they're transparent and that sort of thing. Well, if they're that transparent and they're that good at PR, why don't we know the answer to this? Why is this happening? How many cases of money laundering has there been, or has been stopped by doing these checks? It's
not money laundering, is it? No. There's no payments to third-party accounts. You're specifically prevented from doing that. You must withdraw the money back to the card that deposited it.
Absolutely.
It's not like you're saying, oh, well, when this wins, pay this third-party account in Belarus or whatever. So, so there's not money. It's just the word people use, isn't it?
Yeah, so, Rose was saying about the guidelines that they're giving to bookmakers to be more transparent about why these checks are being called for and that sort of thing. So, it's all it's all talk in a good game at face value, but the actions don't seem to measure up. I had to laugh at the last sort of 3 or 4 minutes where Pete asked about whether he'd sort of talk more openly now, and whether this is a new sort of charm offensive, as it were, to sort of punters in industry. So, talking to groups, he mentioned the Gamblers Consumer Forum and Justice for Punters. And then he sort of say, he talks to everyone, but he doesn't talk to people who sort of abuse him or attack him. So that was presumably either aimed at our organisation or Justice for Punters. Now, Brian Chappell has done a hell of a lot of good work for punters. He's got lots of punters' money back, and there's not that many people have a bad word to say about him. So I don't know if I'm the one who's supposed to be abusing, but our relationship with the Gambling Commission started a couple of days after we launched the website with this letter about statistics and that sort of, and alleging sort of false statistics backed up by Rob Davis in the Guardian. So he started from a moment of attacking, and then earlier in the interview, he was asked about the gambling with lives and the standing in front of that bus. And he was very quick to correct Pete, saying that was just against campaigning advertising. Well, it had a message with a statistic which has been proven to be false, but there was no letter, there was no record of a letter going straight off after that. So he talks about being impartial, but it just doesn't feel that way.
The Gambling Commission itself and the MPs around the white paper, etc. There's one thing that they're clearly missing out. It's not the amount you bet, it's the way you bet.
Absolutely.
John will like this example because he's someone who he respects on Twitter, etc., for a charity work supply. CJ John, remember when she had £1,000 on Shishkin to win that Ascot race against Ergamine? And she actually got pulled up on that affordability, and it's like because it was way above a normal stake. I kind of get that. If you're not like betting on Chinese ping pong at 3 a.m. in the morning and Japanese A-League, and then doing a load of slots and
some of the best bets I've had this year.
This is what makes me really mad, because it has to be behavioural rather than the actual amounts. Otherwise, what we're saying is anyone that has a big bet is not, well, that's it. Oh, you've triggered it.
You can never step it up.
Yeah.
But that requires skill and nuance and understanding. And these are blunt tools. These are administrators. These are professional bureaucrats. They don't deal in nuance. It's a blunt tool, and they don't have the skill set to be able to identify, worrying behaviour. So therefore, let's have a simple barrier. It's money. It's the amount of the bet.
Yeah, but
that's interesting. That AK was he did a Twitter Spaces on Friday night with the Smart Betting Club, and he was talking about this and sort of the markers of harm, which various companies have their own markers of harm, and he believes that if it's not already been developed, it would be fair. You could develop a system which looks at actual markers of harm rather than looking at the finances, which can spot. I mean, you'll not spot every problem gambler. I think even Andrew Rhodes admits you can't get everyone, but it would certainly be better than this blunt instrument and actually looking at the harm markers, which is something we've been arguing. I mean, you could probably do a hybrid of, some of the frictionless stuff, maybe with the credit rating agencies. I think that's of limited use, but it could be of use. But it's surely the harm markers.
What a shit world, though, isn't it? We asked about having a fucking bet.
But once you start going down there, you yourself start to show the limits that.
I mean, I'm no fan of all this sort of lurching into prohibition and try. You can't make everybody safe. But I think you've got to. I think we've just got to face reality. There's going to be something. We know there's going to be something. It's trying to make it as less bad as it could possibly be. Unfortunately, what's been discussed, although we've never seen the proper proposals because it all remains speculation, is possibly, certainly for racing and the gambling yield, and for people like us who like to get a bet on it, it's the worst possible solution.
Can I ask you a question then, Andrew? Right, the Gambling Commission come in with these enormous fines, except for Stoke-on-Trent. So they come with enormous fines for, say, 888, who had a social responsibility. 30 million or something, 40 million or something like that fine. Ridiculous level of fine on failures on social responsibility. However, there's no parameters. There's no public parameters. No one knows what the lines are. Hence, Alexander, that owned Honeysuckle and other good horses, what a twat he is. He brought this along when he was at Bet365. They're right, we need affordability checks. And he was asked, what if someone had £1 million in the bank, right, and there were affordability check, what's a reasonable amount that you could let them bet? And he said 20 grand. Is that right, Woody?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably a bit of showboating for him. I actually have some sympathy with operators because all they are given is guidance. They are not given instruction.
Why is that?
So, again, AK was asked the question. You know, if you were told through open banking or whatever there was £1 million, how much of that are they allowed to gamble? He doesn't know. That's a question for compliance. And
so this is how it works against the punter, isn't it? Because if you're an half-decent punter that's not profitable for them in terms of... I'm not on about like serial winners or professional punters. I'm talking about normies that might win, I don't know, 1% or on a year and provide it unprofitability. They can use affordability for their own ends, which is what they've been doing. And we know they've been doing it because lots of winners have fallen by the wayside by their checks. And not necessarily winners, just like normal people, everyday players that probably don't lose much because they're not that bad at it. And it's a disgrace. Why can this not be spotted by MPs? Why are MPs so blind and not listening to people that are saying this? It's either bent or incompetence. It can only be one of the two.
As I've said before, the amount of MPs who actually have any knowledge or any interest in this sector, when you compare it to all the competing pressure groups and issues that are on the plate, it's fairly sort of minimal. I mean, at the GCF, we've tried engaging with so many MPs who have spoken debates and that sort of thing. But unfortunately, it seems to be, okay, we've spoken the debate, we've done a half hour, let's move on to the next thing. And it just doesn't receive anything like the sort of scrutiny it probably should do from experts. It's just MP. I mean, even the DCMS committee, it's constantly changing. I mean, it had one decent member on the court, the evidence. I can't remember which one it was a few months ago, which was Kevin Brennan, one of the Labour MPs. But unfortunately, he's been promoted or shifted off somewhere. So he's out. A new biz in, who's probably got no interest in racing as well. So there's no real expertise actually sort of going into this. It tends to be sort of a nod along and can you hurry up and do it? And they comment on. I mean, I think that something's come out about the pilot from the committee last week, and just saying probably not going to happen for a while, is it? Well, no shit, Sherlock. So we've got an election coming up. I think we've got at least another year of long grass with all of this, because we'll have an election. Odds are a change of government. We've got a new government that's going to have which is going to be busy dealing with its priorities. And gambling, sorting out this is probably going to be low down.
Laundering more cash.
Yeah.
Indeed, yes. Yeah. Chinese spy money. All that rubbish.
Yeah, quite right. Give it all to Angela Rayner. Yeah, she can hide it. Good. Yeah.
I can possibly comment, but
no, quite.
Same shit, different day.
Yeah.
We get what's coming with that. So, in conclusion, Woody, what are we saying long term? What's the prediction? We predict things on this show. No after time in here and booming. You have to get it right. So, what are we saying? In a year's time, what's the likeliest thing that we're going to see, in your opinion?
In a year's time, the slow degradation of racing, I'm afraid. It appeared from the interview.
Fucking hell, Chief. You didn't get this with old Moore's Almanac. They should give you something good to look forward to, not this.
Unfortunately, Andrew Rose didn't give any encouraging words for racing.
No, he didn't.
In
did
that interview at all. So I think over the next year, things will pretty much stay as they are. This interim limit might come in. All you can see that's going to happen with that is the top 1% who are paying for racing, whether they're going to be asked for documents or whether they're going to find some nuanced way of establishing their wealth without having to do that. I'm not sure. But the next year, I don't think we're going to see a huge amount of change. but we know that every year it's getting worse. So I would imagine in a year's time it will be a little bit worse.
John, as you know, once they put numbers on things like cracks of the whip, and then there's a number assigned to something, it never gets bigger. Only comes down like your trousers every other night.
Well, unfortunately, yeah, it accepts the premise of affordability, and it's when something comes in, it's very difficult to get rid of it. You have to show evidence to get rid of it, or you don't have to show evidence to bring it in. As Carolyn Harris said, we've got to do something, and this is something.
And chromatic oath.
Yeah, every 3 months it'll go from blue to pink and then back to blue.
Jokes, aren't they? Blame the electorate. You get the politicians you deserve. If you vote for that fucking thing, you get everything you deserve, I think.
That's the Welsh, though, isn't it? They love a bit of sheep out there and things like that.
Yeah, fucking thing that
is. It is what it is. Funny part of the show, we've just been bored to tears by Councillor Woodman on affordability.
No, it's been good. Much needed, it raises the tone considerably. It's good. Can't all be swearing and bum jokes. Yeah. Got to say a bit serious.
Yeah, okay. Well, talking about bum jokes. Well, no, it's not really a bum joke. Lord Worcestershire's been on. The Lord.
Yes, the
Lord Worcestershire, yes. He says, is Charlie Deutsch hung like a stallion? Only he's noticed. Very observant, he's Lord Worcestershire. He should be on some, he should be on some, House of Lords committee or something.
For 300 quid a day, I'll do it. Yeah.
He's rode in the last 2 weeks for Venetia.
Yes.
The boots.
Yeah.
Melanie Rowley.
Don't know.
Ella Pickard. But you'll get the gist. Ella Pickard, Deborah Faulkner, Polly Gundry, the sole recipients of his services. Female trainers only for Charlie. What's is he spreading it around?
No, he can lick his own eyebrows, I bet you.
Tongue like an hipper. Thoughts on that?
Given the sauce, I wonder if we can add Lady Worcester to the.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good.
There's a hint of bitterness there, I thought, in that.
Yeah. I think could have been.
What's his actual over expected when he's riding for all these women?
I reckon it's gone down a tad.
That's what they said. Yeah.
I'd probably predict that.
That's why.
Yeah, I reckon it'd be that.
What you mean? What's his conversion rate? Shags to rads.
Grossly offensive content. This is to quote a letter.
Grossly offensive content.
No.
We're not going to say anything about Alice Plunkett.
No, we mustn't. God, no. She's a vexatious litigant, I'm sure.
Bert's been on. Doncaster Bert. Great city, Doncaster. Clarkson was.
You went there this week, didn't you?
Yeah. Diddley Squat Farm. And I can tell it's an absolute pleasure because the beer's good. The burgers are good. It's expensive. We did see Caleb spraying the field. I'm a more Caleb fan than Clarkson anyway.
Yeah.
And I liked it, but I don't
I prefer the field to Clarkson.
Oh, yeah, but don't go at the weekend.
No.
We talked to the girl that works there, and she said, it's like the queue for 2.5 hours, and there was no queues. We went Thursday, 11:30, no problem.
Brilliant.
Yeah, table as well, table served. Yeah.
Did you rob out from the shop?
We got some meat. Put some meat on the fire, some pork pies and some bacon.
You say the Stig driving a tractor or anything?
No. They don't all live together. That's the TV land.
I thought it was like Rainbow and they all lived in one house.
Yeah.
No.
I want to meet Gerald. But anyway, so Bert's been on. He says, what's your favourite motorway service station?
No danger. Norton Keynes on the M6 toll. Different class, the rest of them.
Right. I would say motor service stations are the best, out of all.
You reckon?
Well, we stopped at Donington Park. The Wi-Fi was fantastic. They got booths for you to work in if you wanted to.
Right.
They do Greg's, KFC.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
You want to never leave, do you? Park up there.
Well, that's it. M&S and the hotel itself. When you go to motorway service, you stop in an hotel and it's about half a mile walk to get to the food. Well, this is on site. You just walk down the stairs.
Oh, lovely. Luxury.
Showers. Only one thing about service stations I found is the shitters. Where I've got two problems. The first one is the shit tape, which is the stuff you used to have at school, and they've made it thinner.
Baking paper.
Yeah, and they've made it thinner. So for us with big arses, You know, you start to wipe, and it's like,
Oh, for fuck's sake. What's the matter with you? There's something wrong with you, I'm sure.
right, no, listen,
Every week you talk about your
and
arse.
then the other thing is, right, you get up to wipe your arse, I don't
Yes.
sit down, and it's that
He does a handstand. That's the problem.
it's that sensor, and then it flushes,
For
and you think,
fuck's
oh, fuck
sake.
off, I want it to flush now.
Used to have a Ladbroke services did.
Oh,
It's-
not anymore.
It's in my manor.
Is it?
And yeah, it's at the top of the district. And when I was out campaigning and that sort of thing, I used to be able to nip in and see the race if I.
Have a bet.
You sounded
get a
like
bet
Terry McCann there, Woody. It's in my mind.
He loves Terry McCann. Don't talk to him about Terry McCann. He loves it. He absolutely loves it.
Those bogs. Do you carry your own scene of crime tape, Lee, after you've used the dog?
It's really
It does
bad
seem to be a recurring theme.
because then I've got to walk from the cubicle to the wash your hands,
Yeah,
and they don't look great, do they?
No.
I'll tell you a good one is off the M1 near Leeds. I stopped there on the way back from York once.
Yeah, that's good. That is a good one. That's a new one.
It was like
Yeah.
Beaconsfield. So loads of, in fact, it was like a paradise in many ways.
Yeah.
My wife thinks I've got an unhealthy obsession with service stations, but it's just a bloke thing, isn't it?
Any punters, we want bet. We don't want to fucking that 3G middle of fucking nowhere. Can't get fucking videos.
No.
Photo services are good. That's a strong recommendation. Don't stop at Welcome Break.
No.
They're shit.
No.
You know, that's Newport Pagnell. I got absolutely volleyed for stopping once at Newport Pagnell by the family. They all volleyed me. Never let me let it down. Never again, Newport Pagnell. So, Bert, great question. Next question before the last one, which of course will be Samuel the Cat. He's unsure.
Of course.
Nick Davis has been on. He says, given your respective cooking abilities, what two-course meal could each of you knock up to serve on MasterChef?
What the fuck's that?
Chris, I think you're partial to cooking a decent meal.
I'm a very greedy man. Yeah, yes. I would say, well, relative to my cooking abilities, I would say boil in the bag, Vesta curry, and a Pop-Tart to finish.
I remember them boiling the bag, Vesta
Yeah,
curries.
boil in the bag.
Actually, they
Vesta
weren't
curry.
too bad.
No, they weren't. They weren't that horrible, were
No.
they? But I think the adverts were a bit racist, weren't they? I think it was some fella sort of blacked up advertising. Quite why they couldn't get an Indian accent, God knows. But yeah, Vesta curry and a Pop-Tart. But you can get them in like little bags now. You can stick them straight in the toaster. And a minute later, you've got a sort of, a tart with a filling like napalm, like the old McDonald's apple pies used to be. That's so red hot. So yeah, that'll be my pudding.
Yeah.
Relative to my ability.
I can't cook, but we've got an air fryer, and obviously our air fryer does amazing jacket potatoes.
Yeah,
I do jacket potatoes, and then one of them sticky toffee sponge and custards for after.
Just stick them in the microwave.
Yeah, that'd be my effort. John?
Monkfish paella followed by cheese jubilee, I would say.
Monkfish paella, that actually sounds quite edible.
It does. It sounds delicious.
I was thinking, John, that there might be some roadkill involved there at some point.
Unless you knock down a monkfish, no.
Goat's liver to start with.
You don't have to find that on the road, you know. You can actually obtain it.
I don't know. I've seen a few goats knocked down in the country. Anyway.
Yeah.
You can get them.
Secret squirrel. John would fry a squirrel, I know.
Yeah.
Tastes like chicken.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. He's tried it. Woody, what could you knock up?
Well, you can't get beef dripping chips around here. So every time I come up to Yorkshire and you have beef dripping, and you eat them down here, and a little bit of a disappointment. So I've taken to practicing a lot with beef dripping chips and fish, and I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Maybe when this is all done, we're going to have to set up fish and chip shops. So
it is. I reckon we'd be good at this, all those lot. And we'd be a laugh. You'd come into the shop for a right laugh. It's like I used to love my local Chinese where you used to walk in and it's like, "Hello, Lee, silly boy, how much you lose today?"
These were Norwegian Pakistanis rather than Chinese, weren't they?
Great days, the Chinese stuff. Right, anyway, carrying on. Thanks for that, all of you. Right, final question.
Good one.
Samuel the Cat. I don't think any of us would be any good at this. Dating websites are popular. I read they are very, very addictive. if you were attempting to sell yourself on there for prospective ladies, what talents, hobbies, or attributes would you put on your bio to snare a few? As in the younger years, did you have standards? Did you have big standards? Thing is, like me on dating app, I don't even know what they are. I've never had one. I've never actually had a dating app.
No.
But I mean, right, thing is, I suppose it's a serious subject. You'd imagine most men, I'm not saying all men, would probably put like airline pilots and
Like fucking
astronaut.
retired US Army Ranger. yeah.
If they've got a Rolex watch and it's like it's probably a knockoff, and they just like post a picture of them in the
I
Rolex.
actually saw this question from Samuel the cat, and I spent I spent a few minutes working on my advert this afternoon. that I would put up.
Go blimey. Yeah, he's put some effort in. Go on.
I'll just share the advert with you. 6'2", slim build, has been mistaken for Brad Pitt in the past. Owns teeth and attends the gym 5 times a week. Enjoy taking trips on my super yacht, walking on my estate in Scotland, attending the races when one of my string of horses is running, or just going for a drive in the Lamborghini. I would like to meet a lady, 22 to 28, non-graduate, with her own glass-top coffee table and an interest in steam engines, Cleveland variant.
They call it catfishing, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, scamming all the old girls out of their money, isn't it? Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like a done thing now, and I'm not with it. I'm not with all this.
That's past us by, isn't it? With that generation that don't have it. I suppose if my one would be just out of prison, racist, don't look at my face. There you are. That'll be my 3 bullet points.
Yeah, indeed. Right.
People probably find that less offensive than me putting an I'm a Tory politician. That's the thing. But
yeah, well, I wouldn't be putting that.
He'd be like, yeah, I'm a Tory politician, and that'd be it. He'd be like,
yeah, messages from young lads in the Far East, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I'm a Tory politician, but I like girls as well. How about that?
Could always ask William Ragg.
You might get Michael Gove on, would he, or something like that? Anyway.
Let's hope not.
Just to finish the show.
Not Michael Grove. Anybody that's got the bottle that shags Sarah Van.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, get a medal for that.
Yeah. Watched an interesting documentary last night on baboons.
Fucking hell. Now, that was a mirror, mate, honestly.
No, this is really good, right? And I bet you don't, none of you knew this. Reminds me where society maybe is it going wrong? So baboons, what they do is the alpha male, he has to fight off them all to become alpha male, and then he puffs his chest out and all this lot. And he sits there. He's the one that gets to shag all the female baboons, and the rest aren't allowed.
That's like a cult, isn't it? That's a religious cult. It's like Waco, isn't it? Branch
He'll get challenged every now and again, but he fights them off, and then whoever can knock him off then gets to do all the ladies. But
fair enough. That's a meritocracy. That's equality of opportunity, isn't it, Councillor Woodman?
Is that where we've gone wrong as a society?
I'll submit a manifesto and we'll see.
Yeah, can you give it a go and can you let us know if we get it in there?
Yeah, we'll see how well that's received.
Equality of opportunity. Yeah.
So we should all be taking it out to see who gets to shag the most baboons.
yeah, pretty much.
That's a slightly literal translation, but we take your point.
yeah. Bella Emberg for you, John.
She's dead and all. She's lost weight since.
Yeah. Right. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll be back as normal this week. We've got a Friday show coming for the next weekend's racing. And of course, the Sunday sermon next week to look forward to. What's not to like? Join us on Patreon also for John's notes, which totaled a total of 5,000 words this week. It was like one massive word salad, but very amusing and very informative. And you get content like that for just £7. Or if you want all our tips on a daily basis, that goes up a little bit, but it does very well, 17% on investment at 11 a.m. That's all from us. Bye for now.